Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. This video we're going to be doing a Hypixel Skyblock video. You may have never heard this because I've never uploaded this. But today we are going to be doing a ranking video, or a tier list if you will, of every single sword enchant that is not an ultimate enchant. As you can see, we have all of them right here. If I missed any, just tell me in the comments and I will rank them. This is going to be based off my opinion, and you might see that these are not maxed out. I just bought the cheapest bin because I didn't want to spend 20 mil for this video. So I just bought the cheapest bin, but just know that when I am ranking these, I'm going to be ranking these based off their max, max enchant level, where it's like not like a level 6, a level 7, or a level 4. Right? So anything that you can get out, like right in the enchanting table. That's where I'm going to be ranking them, because it would be an unfair advantage to give like sharpness 7, but when there's like, you know the deal, right? So we are going to be ranking them based off their max enchanting table level. So let's get started. We are going to be going in a random order. I have my item frames right here, so let's get started. And also, because Siphon the bin was actually really high, I just put Siphon 1 on a wooden sword. So just know that. Okay. I mean, let's just get started. Let's go with the random one. Let's get this one. Venomous. Venomous 4, if you don't know, it reduces the target's walk speed by 20% and deals 20 damage per second, lasts for 4 seconds. This, I would say, is definitely one of the more useless enchants. I would say it doesn't hurt a sword, something like Fire Aspect does, but it's not good. So I wouldn't put it quite at F, but I will put it right at D, because it's simply just not good. Right? This is Venomous, by the way. This is not good. Okay, next up, let's pick a random one. Thunderlord. If you don't know, the reason it says Thunderlord 6 is because literally the cheapest bin was Thunderlord 6, but we are going to be ranking this off of Thunderlord 5. Okay, so let's get started. Thunderlord is by far one of the most useless enchants in the game. There's no point of it. Now here is the thing. There is a bug in the game during the spooky festival. If you don't know, when it's nighttime, when all those spooky creatures come out, you typically have to deal 10 hits, because they all deal 1 damage per hit, and they typically have like 10, 15 HP. There is a bug with this where on the 3rd hit, it will deal the like normal damage. So basically with Thunderlord you can 3-shot the trick-or-treaters, just the things like that. But that is a bug, so we're not going to be ranking it based off that. But again, this is one I would put at F. There is no point of this besides it being a cosmetic enchant to make your sword just look better in the first place. Okay, next up, let's get Giant Killer. Giant Killer is a good one. Giant Killer increases damage dealt by 0.4. It would be 0.5 for each % of extra health that your target has above you, up to 20%. Giant Killer is a pretty good enchant. It is. I wouldn't say it's as good as Titan Killer, but it's definitely one of the few damage enchants. So just because it is a damage enchant makes it like literally above like B or C. So, but it's not one of the best damage enchants, right? It's not great. It has minimal difference, so that's why I'm gonna put it right at B, right? Again, we're talking about Giant Killer 5. Next up, Triple Strike. Again, another damage one. Triple Strike, if you don't know, is the counterpart to First Strike. Hopefully I have it. Oh wow. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Sorry about that. But it is the counterpart to Triple Strike. Again, I only have the Triple Strike 4. You can get it to Triple Strike 5. I believe you might be able to get it to 6. Don't quote me on that. I do know that you can get First Strike to 5 also. Oh wait, no, Triple Strike you can only get to 5 too, I think. Triple Strike, again, being another damage enchant. Would I say it's better than First Strike? I'm gonna go no, and let me tell you why. If you are late game, right? If you're late game, end game, anything like that, you typically one-shot all of your opponents. Or just all of the enemies, NPCs, and things like that. So really, there's no point. The only time this is good is against Slayers. I would say that this is definitely better than First Strike with Slayers and maybe Dungeons because of the mini bosses and some of the bosses. But overall, would I say it's better than First Strike? No, I would not. First Strike is better for damage test, just everything. But I would put it a little bit above. Actually, no, I'm going to put it right at B. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to put this at B. Move this down to C. And I'm going to keep that at D. Right. Giant Killer, I would say, is one of the worst damage enchants in the game. And I'm going to put Triple Strike at B. Next up, Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is the counter to Thunderlord. And it's another one that's just not good. It's not. It's just, it strikes monsters within 2 blocks with lightning every 3 consecutive hits, dealing 75% damage as your strength. Or 75 of your strength as damage. This is basically just the same as this. It just does it on a different enemy. So this is going to be on the same level as Thunderlord. I guess it's a little bit better because I don't know. They're just the same basically. They're just fucking garbage. They're really fucking garbage. Next up, Vampirism. Vampirism is a good one. I like this. If you don't know, it heals for 5% of your missing health when you kill an enemy. Right? And this is when you kill an enemy. While Lifesteal, where is Lifesteal? Heals for 0.2% of the damage you deal to mobs. Would I say it's better than Lifesteal? No. Lifesteal is better. They're both healing. They're both healing enchants. But Lifesteal is a little bit better. But let's start with Vampirism. We will do Lifesteal next. Vampirism, just it being a healing enchant does make it like above these two because it does have a use. But I would probably put it on the same level as Triple Strike, as the fact it's just not an A or an S, right? But it's still really, really like it's not a cosmetic only. It's actually like pretty good. Okay, next up, let's do Lifesteal. Lifesteal, I would put one level ahead. I'm sorry this is unorganized. I'm just really putting them on there. I will make it organized at the end though, right? But Lifesteal, I would put it a little bit ahead. Vampirism, just because of the fact that it's on every single hit, and it deals. It doesn't. Vampirism, if you don't know, heals for 5% of your missing health. When in reality, you're not gonna have that much missing health. So if you have 1,000 missing health, you're gonna only heal for like 200. No, it's 5. I don't even know. I'm terrible at math, but yeah, y'all get it. Y'all get it. It's not as good as Lifesteal. In fact, I'm actually gonna put this at C. And I'm gonna. Do I move this down to B? Yeah, I'm gonna move it down to B. In fact, I'll put this right here. There we go. Next up, let's get this one. Lethality. Lethality reduces the armor of your target by 12% for 8 seconds each time you hit them with melee. Stacks up to 5 times. Lethality is another damage enchant, but it's a really not noticeable enchant. I would honestly just put it on the same as Giant Killer, to be honest. It's really not a noticeable one, but it's still really good. Okay, next up, Cubism. Cubism increases damage dealt to magma cubes, creepers, and slimes. Okay. I don't really know why creepers are on here. Obviously, magma cubes and slimes are very similar, but creepers are technically the outlier in this. But I guess it is also creepers. This is almost a pretty pointless enchant unless they add a Slayer that's one of these, or maybe like they add like dungeon rooms or dungeon mobs with one of these. This is pretty useless. again, there's only like 3 areas in the game that there are slimes, magma cubes, and creepers. If you don't know, creepers are in the gunpowder mines, but those only have like 100 HP. Slimes are in the deep caverns. I think they're the emerald mines. I don't know what they're called. I think it's called the emerald mine. But they only have like 250 health, 500 health. And then the magma cubes are in the blazing fortress, and they only have like 250 to 500. So this, I would say, is really not that good. I would probably put it at F, just because of the fact it's basically a cosmetic only enchant. Yes, it technically does something good. This is going to be considered a cosmetic only enchant in my eyes if they even add like a magma cube creeper or slime slayer, or like magma cube creeper and slime like dungeon mobs, right? But until then, I'm going to keep that at F. Next up, First Strike. First Strike is probably the best enchant in the game for damage test, right? It deals on First Strike 4. It increases your melee damage dealt by 75% for the first hit on a mob. If you don't know, it is somewhat bugged where it doesn't do exactly 100%, but it does like do a lot. It's very, very noticeable, to the point where I would honestly think this is S tier. This is, I would say, the most essential enchant for damage test. I would honestly say that. So just because of that reason, I'm going to put this at S tier. Our first S tier, and maybe the last, who knows. So next up, we are going to be going with Sharpness. Sharpness is another one. One of the like most popular known enchants in the game, even in vanilla. Like, it's just a known enchant. It increases your damage dealt by, I'm pretty sure it's 25 at 25 at 5, sharpness 5. And again, this is another one that's just good. It's cheap. It's a really good enchant. It increases, unlike First Strike, Sharpness does a lot less melee damage, but it does it on every single hit to every single enemy, on every single sword with it. I mean, you know what I mean, right? Every time you have Sharpness 5 on a sword, it deals 25% damage. It deals 25% more damage just because of this enchant. It doesn't matter what hit, it doesn't matter anything. And that's why I will be putting it at A. The reason I wouldn't be putting it at S is because of damage test. I mean, damage tests are actually very important. I like to do damage tests all the time. But, like, it's just not, I wouldn't say it's as important as First Strike. Okay, next up, we're getting some really good ones, though. Ender Slayer. Ender Slayer is another one I love, it's another one I really like. If you don't know, it goes to Ender Slayer 5. And it's just a really good one for damage test. Again, if you don't know, I like to do my damage test along with a lot of other people to Enderman, because that's where you're getting most of your damage because of that Ender Slayer bonus. And that's why this is very important, right? It's where I do all my damage tests. So honestly, I would put this one below Sharpness just because it is very limited. In fact, you know what? I'll put it at B purely because of how important it is for damage test. And again, I really like damage test. Next up, Scavenger. Scavenger gives you 1.2 coins. Oh wait, it's Scavenger 3 is the main one, so it's 0.9. 0.9 kills, or 0.9 coins per kill, per monster level on kill. This one is a very good early and mid game enchant, because this is going to be your main source of money, right? Like, early and mid game, this is honestly probably A. This is honestly probably A. But just because of how useless it is late game, if you don't know, it really doesn't make that much money compared to other things. You, like, grinding Enderman, I think, gives you, like, 100k coins per hour, which is just not good. I mean, you could be doing way better things. but I would still put it at B just because it does add up. If you're doing hours and hours of grinding, of like combat XP, it does add up pretty quick, which is very, very good. And that's why I will put it at B, not quite A, because it really drops down in value when you enter late in mid game, or late mid game, late game, and end game. Next up, Luck 5. Luck 5 increases the chance for monsters to drop their armor by 25%. This one used to be terrible. And when I say terrible, I mean terrible. The only mob that this was good with was Enderman. And even then, after mid-game, there was basically no point. But with dungeons, obviously, dungeons was added a long time ago, but with dungeons, it definitely is a little bit better, but I wouldn't say it's that much better. I would probably put this at C. Because it does have a use. You do get a lot more undead essence from it. So that's obviously very, very nice. Next up is experience. Experience 3, which is the highest level, grants a 37.5 chance for a mob and ores to drop double experience. Obviously, we're going to be doing mobs. This one I would honestly put at D, and the reason being is that if your main source of experience is combat, you're doing something wrong, right? You just are. Grands are very, very cheap, right? And it takes hours and hours of grinding with experience to like get almost one Titanic worth, which is only 400k. So that's why I would probably put this at D. I'd probably put it on the same as that's venomous. Next up is impaling. Do I even have to say anything? I don't think I have to. We're gonna move on. Next up is lethality again. Oh, you know what? Let's just use it. I'm gonna use this as execute because I don't have an execute book yet. So we're gonna use this as execute. So execute, I don't know what the description is, but I kind of fucked up here, but it's too late to fucking end the recording now. And I'm going to go with execute. I'm probably gonna go with this C. I don't think it's that good. Okay, next up is going to be cleave. Cleave 4. It goes to cleave 5. I'm pretty sure it deals 15% of your damage dealt to other monsters within 4.2 blocks of the target. Cleave used to be known as a very trash enchant. In fact, it still kind of is. But there are some uses to it. Slayers, I actually really like Cleave. Cleave is actually very, very good in Slayers. Dungeons, it's not even bad in. But overall, I'd probably put it one above Luck. Or wait, no. One above, what's this? Experience. So I'd probably only put it at a C. As you can see, there is a lot of C's. Okay, next up, looting. Increases the chance of monsters dropping an item by 30%. I think the max is looting 3, and I'm pretty sure it's 30%. I may be wrong. But looting is just one that's not good because there's no mob drops that like aren't armor or something like that like are valuable. Like, yeah, you have rotten flesh, bones, but none of that stuff is popular. Or not popular, but valuable. And that's why I'd probably put it on the same level as Luck, which is why I'm going to go with B or C. There we go. Next up, critical. Critical is increases crit damage by 50%. Now this one is like named wrong. If you don't know, it doesn't increase crit damage by 50%. What it does instead is it adds, now this, like, it adds 50% crit damage to your sword, right? And this is just named wrong, but that's what it does, right? I mean, that's literally what it does. But again, critical 5 being the main one, it increases the crit damage on a sword by 50. Not 50%, but 50. Because if you were saying 50%, if something had like 200 crit damage, 50% of that would be 100, so it would add 100% crit damage. But that's not how it works. It increases the crit damage by 50. And so this one is still very, very, very good. In fact, I put it on the same level as Sharpness. Don't think it's as good as S, just because if it increased the crit damage by 50%, this would be S. Right? This would be S. But because it doesn't, this one is going to have to be at A. Okay, next up is going to be Siphon. So Siphon, obviously, it heals for 0.6% of the damage you deal on critical hits. I think it's 0.5 actually. Again, I may be wrong. It's 0.6 or 0.5. Now, this is the counterpart to Lifesteal, which I think is this. No, that's Interslave. This is Lifesteal. Nope. Okay, here it is. So this heals for... Okay, this heals for 0.4 of the damage you deal to mobs. So this is 0.4. And this, what this does is it heals for 0.5 damage you deal on critical hits. Right. So now, if you're mid game, late game, early game, you should have 100% crit chance. With God Pods being a thing, 100% crit chance is very easy to get, which is why you would want to put Siphon over Lifesteal, especially on something like a Livid Dagger, which gives you 100% base crit chance. Overall, I would honestly put it at this. It's so unnoticeable, which is why I would put it on the same level as Siphon. If there was a level in between B and A, then I probably would put it there. But I don't think Siphon is as good as Sharpness or Critical. Next up, oh, I think that's it. Wait, am I missing one? Am I missing Prosecute? I think I'm missing Prosecute. Prosecute. Okay. Let's just use this grappling hook as Prosecute, right? Just because I'm really fucking up this recording. But now last one is going to be Prosecute. Let's just say this is Prosecute. Let's say this is Prosecute actually. Prosecute is better than Execute, and I would probably put it at B, because it is actually a noticeable difference in my opinion. So there we go. That is going to be my non-ultimate enchant weapon enchant tier list. This is again my opinion. Some people might not have first strike at S, some people might have critical or sharpness at S, but again, this is my opinion. Now I will see y'all on the next video.